Hello guys, welcome to another day for Networking Labs. My name is Mbepo Johnson Vola, your lecturer in this series of Networking Labs. Today we are going to be looking at routing. Remember we have just seen switching and VLAN. Today we are going to look at routing. Now what is routing? I've put up this diagram so that it can help us understand the concept of routing. Assuming that we have this network that we are seeing on our screen, and let's say this PC here want to communicate with this server or with this PC, how will it manage to reach this PC or to reach this server? If you can see, in this network we have three different routers. So these routers can be like, let's say, a router in an organization network, or it might be extended routers that connects different cities or different towns. But let's just put it in the concept of an organization, that we are in an organization and we have these three routers belonging to different network. Like if you look here, we have the 10.1 network, we have the 20 dot network, we have the 30 dot network, and we have the 40 dot network. So assuming that someone sitting here in the 10 dot network wants to communicate with a device in this 40 dot network, how will it be possible for this person to communicate with this device on this other network or on this different network? So that is where the concept of routing comes in. Remember, our limitation the last time was with switches and inter-VLAN. But here we have to go to a total and complete different network. So how does it manage? So if you remember the three-way handshake, assuming that this PC want to learn the MAC address of this server or this PC in order to send a packet. Let's say you want to share a file with this server. So the first thing that he will have to do is to send a three-way handshake to learn the MAC address of this particular device. So assuming you standing here as an administrator or as a network administrator or as a client who want to access the file server here, you will have to send a message asking a request or access to this particular server. So let's say FTP, which usually use port 21, you want to access this file. So once you send file here, the sync message is initiated, and the sync message has to follow this path and pass through all these routers before getting here. But once it reaches this router is in the 10 dot network, so which means that they can easily communicate. But this router knows nothing about this 40 dot network or the 30 dot network. So that's where the problem begins, which means that it will be impossible for you to access this file here, because this other network, because this 10 dot network knows nothing, or this router knows nothing about the 30 dot network and the 40 dot network, which simply means that once you initiate a ping request or you send a sync request, most definitely it will reach here and it will drop. And once it drops, you will definitely receive a reply saying that destination host is unreachable if in case you are sending a ping message. So this is where routing comes in. The mechanism by which these devices learn about each other in order to communicate with each other fluently without any interruption is the basis of routing. Let me come again. That means the mechanism by which these devices learn about each other and send information or communicate within each other is the basis of routing. So let's say your packets reach here. Every router has what is called a routing table. Once your packet reaches here, this router will go into its routing table and look if it knows the road to get to 40 dot network. And if it doesn't see a routing table that is telling it how to route its traffic up to the 40 dot network, most definitely he will drop the packet. So if the router knows about that network, it will definitely forward the packet to the exact destination. So this is configured either in two ways, either statically or dynamically, which is what we are going to look forward. The next thing we are going to look at is the type of routing. How many type of routing do we have? So how many type of routing do we have? So we have static routing and we have dynamic routing. So static routing is the route in which you go to each of those router and specifically tells it how it has to forward information. You go into the router and you give it the command on how it has to route traffic. Meanwhile, dynamic routing automatically learns about all the routes in the network based on an implemented protocol. And there are two types of protocol in routing. We have the internal gateway protocol, that is the IGP, and we have the external gateway protocol, which is the EGP. So the internal gateway protocol is the protocol used within an autonomous system. Like we can say an autonomous system. Let's say it is the protocol that you can use it within an enterprise network or an organization network. But the external gateway protocol, the EGP, is the protocol used when you have to do routing over the internet. Let's say you have to access the internet for your routing protocol or for your route to be implemented. This is where the external gateway protocol takes place. Let's say someone is in Canada and wants to configure a route protocol that links the office in Canada or the routers in Canada with a router in let's say USA. So here we use the external gateway protocol. So there are three types of IGP, that is internal gateway protocol, are of three types. You have the RIP, you have the OSPF, and you have the EIGRP. So EIGRP is Cisco proprietary. So we are not mostly going to focus on the EIGRP protocol because it is a Cisco proprietary protocol. But RIP and OSP are applicable on almost all network routers. And then we have now the EGP, that is the external gateway protocol. And under EGP, we have BGP, which is the border gateway protocol. So these are what we are going to be looking into. But first, we are going to start with static routing to see how static routing is being configured, and later we look at dynamic routing. But in this session, our main focus is static routing. So let's go into Packet Tracer and see how this is being done.